Hey guys, good morning. Happy Tuesday. It's Daryl here. It's 4 a.m. bright and early here in Connecticut on the East Coast. All right, so yesterday I talked about Dr. Jill Biden, and to be honest with you guys, that was still sticking in my craw because I still kept reading some more comments from people like Tucker Carlson. And I did some investigating into Tucker Carlson, into Michelle Obama, into Dr. Jill, what the differences are between a Juris Doctor and a PhD. And I've done all sorts of investigating today. But what caught my eye, what I really want to talk about this morning, I saw a news clip this morning, and it featured Melania Trump. And it kind of took her to task. It was one of the very far-leaning left liberal news sites. And I wanted to check it out. It says how she went to a Washington, D.C. Children's Hospital and took off her mask in the violation of their protocols. And not to mention that she already had COVID-19. So she's going into a children's hospital and reading a Christmas story for the kids and taking off her mask. Now, that was the headline. I had to find out more about this. And I'm going to tell you guys straight up, it was misleading. It really was. I try to be fair here. And when I investigated that story more, she did go in there and she did violate their protocols. But here's the thing. The story made it sound like she was sitting in front of a group of children reading the story. You know, she takes off her mask and there's children all around her. She's in front of the Christmas tree. Because they only show her in front of the Christmas tree. They show her walking in with a child, leading her in. Her sitting down, taking off her mask and reading a story. If you watch the story further, you'll find out that she's reading into a camera. There's no children sitting around her. So, I mean, to be fair to her, she was social distancing. There was no children within 10, 12 feet at least that I could see. So I can't take her to task for this. Even though she broke hospital protocol by taking her mask off, I'm going to cut her a break. I'm going to cut her a break now because I'm going to rip into her after. It might be hard to read a children. Well, here I'll get right into my point. I'm not going to miss Melania Trump one little bit. What I'm going to say may not. I'm going to catch flack for it probably. I don't know. It's not it might not be a very liberal, progressive thing to say, but I've said this once before, I think in a video. It bothers me, man. It bothers me having a first lady that I can't understand. Okay, she starts reading this story, Oliver the Christmas Ornament. I'm curious. It sounds like a good story. I want to hear it. So she's Oliver the Christmas Ornament. I can't understand a word she's saying. I can't. Now, I wouldn't pick on somebody for this. I am all for immigration into this country. I believe that immigration made this country great. And yeah, I'm a Native American. I'm part Native American saying that. But this is the office of the president. And to me, it holds a higher standard. To be the president, you have to be born in the United States. Oh, as we all know, how Trump took Obama to task and lied about where he was born over and over and over. Melania Trump was most definitely not born in the United States. She's the first lady, though, so there's no regulation. But I'm going to be honest here, and this isn't politically correct. This isn't something that most liberals would say or progressives would say, but she sounds Russian to me, man. She sounds like, who is it? Rocky and Bullwinkle, the evil chick there, Natasha. She sounds like Natasha. She sounds like an evil Russian woman in our White House. Yeah. Okay, go ahead. You can start putting the comments in right now. It's not a very liberal thing to say, but here's the thing. I wouldn't take her to task for this, but she's brought it upon herself. With that jacket, you know, I remember that. I will never forget. There's some certain things that I will never forget. And I will never forget Trump mocking that handicapped reporter, and I will never forget Melania wearing that jacket, I don't care, do you? In direct reference to children, the children still being held, with their families are gone. Their families have been deported to God knows what country. Now it's come out that the Trump administration withheld information and phone numbers that they had for these over 600 kids now. They withheld the information, God knows why, of where their families are in different countries. These kids will never find their families. What purpose this served other than just to terrify people that live below this imaginary line between America and Mexico? To terrify them, to not to dare come up here because you will lose your kids. Thank God this couple is out of the White House. One more thing. Okay, Melania, right? God knows, you know what? If I could get paid for nude modeling, if women would pay me for nude modeling, God knows I'd do it. I'd do it in a freaking second. You know, because I'm going to talk about Melania and her modeling. For the last 4 years, I brought this up to Trump supporters whenever, but only because I don't think there's anything wrong with women making money from modeling nude. But when those same people are putting down people like Michelle Obama, now this is where all my studying comes into play here. Michelle Obama earned a Juris Doctor. That is required before you take the bar examination. It is not a PhD. PhD requires much more studying and schooling. Michelle Obama graduated from Harvard and from Princeton. Okay. She has a law degree. Harvard and Princeton. Melania Trump, on the other hand, in 2013 lied about having an associate's degree in architecture, which she most certainly does not have a degree in architecture. She went to some schooling in a school I can't even pronounce, in a country I can't even remember offhand. And she got caught up in modeling. And you know what? I don't have any problem with a woman making money modeling nude. Like I said, if I could do it, I would do it in a freaking second. But when you're going to take other people to task, you know, the Trump supporters over the last 4 years putting down Michelle Obama and even Hillary, and talking about how Melania is such an elegant first lady and how, you know, she's such the perfect first lady. And we've all heard these excerpts from her talking about her effing Christmas tree and all this other stuff, and how Trump supporters absolutely refuse to admit that she modeled nude. I have brought this up with family members, the girls I've dated, their families, and they refuse to admit it. When I've shown them the pictures, they say, oh no, those are Photoshopped. Those aren't real. Melania Trump would never pose nude. And they know she did. It's a double standard. This is, you know, I am not going to miss Natasha one little bit. You know, and just her whole background on how she met Donald Trump. She met Donald Trump at a party. She was a model at a party. Trump was going through a divorce. Exactly where he was in that divorce, I don't even know. And this is how she became our first lady. She happened to be at a party, a model at a party. It's not a very elegant, you know. I think Michelle Obama with a degree in law, passing the bar, a lawyer, and the future Dr. Jill Biden with a doctorate in education. Oh, one last thing I want to bring up too, now that I've kind of pounded on Melania for a while, is Tucker Carlson. So Tucker Carlson jumped into this whole mishmash in the last couple days, talking about how if you want any heart surgery or whatever, don't go to Dr. Jill, because she just, he says what he says more or less is she's got a doctorate in education, which is basically nothing. Basically nothing, huh? So of course I looked up to see what it takes to get a PhD in education, and it is no freaking walk in the park. The hardest part is the dissertation, where she has to contribute a hypothesis, a thesis, in front of a studied panel that is in that field and prove it to them. It's no small task. They have to be published and prove this in front of a panel. So I looked up good old Tucker Carlson. I wanted to see what his credentials are. He's got an associate's from Trinity right here in Connecticut. Woo! So he wanted to go into the CIA. He wanted to be a spook, and he couldn't get in there. And he slid into journalism at Fox. That's his lofty credentials. But even more than that, good old Tucker Carlson, he doesn't seem to think very much of the term doctor or PhD when it's used in anything other than a physician's title, right? Oh, wait a second, except Dr. Sebastian Gorka. He refers to Dr. Sebastian Gorka over and over as Dr. Gorka this. There's several sites. If you guys Google this, you'll see good old Tucker Carlson. When he has people on his show like climate deniers or Sebastian Gorka or any other array of conservative panelists, oh, he is sure to put that title, doctor. You know, he makes sure he announces them as doctor, and he calls them doctor, and he gives them the honorific title, of course. So it's interesting. Good old Tucker Carlson seems to have two different classifications for how important he thinks the term doctor or PhD is. When it's applied to a woman or a Democrat, it's virtually meaningless. It's like, you know, anybody could pick one of these up at a corner store. But when it's Dr. Sebastian Gorka or a climate denier or anybody like that, well, geez, then you're talking to a veritable genius, and you better address him as doctor. Just some thoughts I wanted to put together this morning for you guys. I will not miss Melania Trump one bit, and Tucker Carlson sucks. Those are my opinions for today. I'll be back later. You guys have a good Wednesday.